Glambitious. Glambitious Talk Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Glambitious Talk Show. I am your host, Lillie Mae, and as always, I bring dynamic women from around the world to my platform so that you can connect with them, be inspired by them, and of course, work with them. And today is no different. I have Miss Sharon, so go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Sharon Arrindell, and I love what I do. I love what I do. I am a board certified licensed marriage and family counselor, but I also get to counsel people with divorce issues as well. And I just love to help people. As an author, I've written numerous books, but on the back end of all of that is God. And he shows up in my space. So I know today is no different. He's going to show up in my space.
Yes, he is always welcomed on the Lillie Mae Talk Show. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your speaker and author journey.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the speaker part. No, the author part, because everybody asks me, how did I become an author? I didn't start out saying I wanted to be an author. I hit the floor. I hit the floor after losing everything I owned to a hurricane in 1999, and swam out of it with my children.
Wow.
Became a single mom. Went back to school after dropping out of college. I went back to school initially to raise my children. And so as I was in that funk, I'm calling it that because I don't know who's listening, if you're in that funk, and I was literally on the floor all the time, just in a fetal position. And a friend of mine whose house I ended up living in, she said, "You're not going to die on my watch." And she gave me 24 hours to come up with what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And so there was a piece of paper on the floor, and I picked it up and I started to write what was happening to me. I couldn't even read what I wrote because it was all drenched with tears, but I started to write and write and write what was happening to me. Eventually, that became journals. And then those journals turned into books.
Wow.
And today I get to travel all over the place speaking. That's where the speaking part comes in. And I don't just speak, I speak to help people. I have a message, and my message, it's my message, but it's not just unique to me, because I know people are struggling. So I get to speak mostly to those kind of people. And so I go anywhere and everywhere. I showed up here.
Right. And I love that you're using the test as a testimony, because oftentimes people will keep those things private and they just want to show the glory in the story, but they don't want to tell about that day they were on the floor crying, or the day where they felt like they couldn't make it. And it's important that we paint a realistic picture about life. Life as a Christian person is not perfect, okay?
No,
Sometimes people think you say yes to Jesus and now you get to just live in sunshine and rainbows forever, but that's just not the reality. And so I love that you're, sharing what you've been through and helping other people, not only as a speaker, not only as an author, but you also have like a counseling and coaching program. So tell us a little bit about that.
Counseling. Initially, I did not want to counsel couples because I had been through divorce and I felt like I had nothing to offer anyone. But when I went back to school for that first doctoral degree, it was a counseling degree. And the final exam, the question, it was just one question. What would you tell a couple that was about to be married, and why? And you had to write pages and pages and pages of that, right? So after I finished writing it, I realized that what I experienced was for me to help other people. And so now I counsel people, I counsel couples. Some of them I counsel back together.
Mhm.
Some of them I counsel before they even say I do. And some of those people I get to marry because I'm a pastor, so I get to
Wow.
actually marry them. Some of them I tell don't do it.
Right? Look, probably a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Not some of them. A lot of them
lot of
don't
them
do
don't
it.
do it. But some listen, some
Mhm,
don't.
mhm.
And then my divorce care, for those who have hit rock bottom on the floor, I get to say it's time to rise. Rise from the ashes and do what you were born to do, because all of the scars and all of the things are part of the anointing. All of it is part of it.
Yes.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Mhm.
We like to focus on the good because it makes us feel good.
Mhm.
But the ugly part of it, we can rise from that and become above and beyond what we thought ever possible.
Absolutely.
So that is a little bit about the counseling, and now I've added coaching to the mix, because now I have a coaching program called Push. It's called the Marriage Push. And Push is persevering, unstoppable, sacrificial hope, because that's what it takes to have a vision for a lifelong marriage. So that's what the coaching part is about.
I love it. And so, if you were to give a single woman like myself who's waiting for her husband to find her, what advice, would you give someone like me who's single, a little seasoned? I don't like to say older, I like to say seasoned. As I'm in the dating process, like what advice or what should I keep at the forefront of my mind when selecting a mate?
I didn't expect that question, but I like it. Because I have a coaching program that I don't really talk about much. It's to single women, and it's called The Waiting Room. Wait for the dream. And the wait means woman, aligned, authentic, independently thriving.
Yes.
And that is what, if I were to, I don't want to go biblical all the time because sometimes people don't want to hear all that, but that's what I got. So if I were to go biblical with it, I'll talk about Boaz and Ruth, and she was gleaning, she was working. Basically.
Like I'm working right now.
She was working. working. The woman was working. She wasn't looking for Boaz. She didn't even know who he was. But at the end of the day, she ended up with him and ended up a Moabite who don't even know nothing about God. She just followed somebody else. Right. And so she ended up being married a Moabite, having a son called Obed, who became the lineage of Jesus Christ. So all from working. So my advice or counsel or coaching, just work. Become that virtuous woman. So we're independently depending on God.
That's right.
Right? Even though we're boss ladies, we still have to depend on the commander-in-chief of our lives,
we do.
Right? And at the end of the day, we thrive. And any man who doesn't want that, he's not for you.
I love it. I think that is stellar advice, because I feel like because of my extended single journey, it's given me a level of empathy for women who are single, because they may not have been divorced, and when people get divorced, people rally around you to support you and lift you back up, or when people most times, or when people are sick, people rally around you. But I don't think people really fully gauge the challenges of being a single woman for an extended amount of time without your protective covering here on earth, because like you said, we do have God, but there is a person, I believe he's destined to cover us in the natural. And I love what you said about just continuing to glean in the field, for lack of better words, like continue to work, continue to align with him, and have the perspective that rejection is just redirection. So if a guy doesn't, align with you or doesn't want to move forward, to not take it personal, to not let it affect your self-esteem or anything about your worth, but just to know, okay, he must not be for me. God must have something that's better suited for me. So I love that. Now, back to you and your business. What's next for Inspired Wholeness Enterprise?
Well, I'm taking it to the streets,
Okay.
so to speak.
We going to the streets.
I'm going to the streets because I'm on a book tour,
Okay.
right? And I've written a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
from 2016 or 13 to now. It's been like 10 of them, right?
Wow.
But I never really took them seriously.
Okay.
Kind of just was writing them for me to be healed. But recently, like my most recent book last year was Armored and Victorious, Memoirs of a Crossover Season, because I had to cross over. And then now I'm revising a book. I'm calling it the second edition of a book I call Embracing Our Queenly Anointing.
Okay.
And so looking at ourselves as royalty,
Yes.
lineage. I'm a queen, you're a queen. It doesn't matter how I lost my hair. What matters is my crown is not tilted, and you can't tilt it, right? So I'm taking that, and then the marriage push has also become a book. And taking it to the streets means just taking it to people.
Yes.
And standing before them and letting them know I have something for you that can help you get from there to there. I'm not calling it point A to point B. I'm going to be like my sister friend, Dr. Cindy Trim. She says, point A to point A. There's no, if I don't do A, then let me move to B. Nope, I'm doing A because I'm an A student.
Yes.
So let me just do A all the way. And at the end of the day, the hope is to leave a legacy for my grandchildren. I have a lot of them. I've accumulated them.
Oh, how
right?
precious.
So I don't want them to work as hard as me.
Right.
So I want to leave a legacy.
I love it.
for them.
Well, I think that's what, we're all working towards. And again, I applaud you for using the obstacles that you face as a testimony for, journaling and then publishing those journals as books, because sometimes we like to keep our journals close to us. Like, this is my private thoughts and experiences, but God often wants us to share it to help people. So let everyone know how they can connect with you, how they can purchase your books, find out about your tour, and follow you on social media.
Well, I am on Facebook as Sharon Arrindell. I'm on Instagram as Dr. Sharon Arrindell, and on LinkedIn as well. I do have a YouTube channel, Dr. Sharon Arrindell. I'm just like out there, putting myself out there. It's a journey, because when you are mature like this, sometimes we feel like we have to compete because we're older. I love this. I love where I am. This is me. This is the new me, and I like it. So I'm on all those social media platforms, just telling it. And then my websites, I have two of them. DrSharonArrindell.com is a speaker website, and then my other website is InspiredWholenessCounseling.com, and that's where you get to see what I do as a counselor, as a pastor, all the things. And so those are the ways to reach out to me. And I look forward to connecting with people because I like to help.
Yes.
That's my job. My full-time job is helping people every single day
I love it.
of the rest of my life.
I love that. And make sure that you stay connected with Miss Sharon, whether it's for the counseling, whether you're single, divorced, or engaged. Or I think also if you have a boyfriend that you're, long term, go ahead and start getting a little bit of that counseling early so that you can make sure you're on the right path. Or just check out, one of her many, many books, but just make sure that you stay connected with her. Again, if this is your first time tuning in, I am Lillie Mae, creator of the Glambitious brand. My purpose is to provide a platform for dynamic women of faith around the world. To stay connected with me, visit theglamceo.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at I am Lillie Mae. But thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Glambitious Talk Show. Bye-bye.